Welcome. I wanted to start by naming something many entrepreneurs experience, but rarely publicly talk about. Success, or striving for success even, can sometimes feel quite consuming. And when you think you achieve it for a split second, maybe a day, maybe a month, it can feel fulfilling. And at the same time, isolating, even while you're feeling success and then after the high is gone. So you can be winning on paper, your P&L can look great, but you can still feel like you're in the red at home. Not because you don't care, not because anything is broken, but because growth changes how your nervous system operates and how your attention is allocated and focused, and how presence is experienced or not in your relationships. So in this masterclass, we are going to slow this down. Sometimes you need to slow down to move forward. It's not about speed. It's not about quantity. It's about the quality of your presence. So we'll learn why emotional distance shows up even in loving partnerships and how to recognize it early, to feel it early, really, and the exact practices that help relationships expand alongside success instead of being strained by it. So this is not about working less or wanting less. It's not about working more or wanting more. It's simply about staying connected and my intention for you so that you can build the life you want. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. Think of it this way. Step 1, success changes your nervous system. What do I mean by that? Well, entrepreneurship doesn't just change or blow up your calendar. It actually changes how your nervous system operates. So when you're building something, your mind is constantly scanning. What's next? What needs attention? What could go wrong? Who needs me? What do they need? Who depends upon me? Even when you're home, part of you is still holding responsibility, whether you're consciously holding it or unconsciously holding it. It is in your system. And here's what I see over and over again with entrepreneurs, whether you're highly successful or not so successful, but trying your darndest to become one of those elite that they call high performers. So here's what's happening. You don't become less loving, you become more mentally occupied. Let me say that again. You don't become less loving, you become more mentally occupied. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm juggling a bunch of things, sometimes I don't pay attention to my eating habits. Sometimes I don't pay attention to my body and what my body is starting to feel. That's going to be a signal for me about what meaning my mind is giving my situations unconsciously. So I don't know about you guys, but I was taught and celebrated as a really good multitasker. Multitasking isn't actually good for us. It means you can do a lot and sometimes superficially well if you're one of the good multitaskers, quote unquote, but it's actually not great. Here's why. When you become more mentally occupied, your energy is divided and it becomes quantity versus quality. So your partner, whether at home or at work, doesn't feel disconnected from you because you stopped caring. In fact, quite the opposite. Usually we overwork and overworry because we do care so much. They feel disconnected, and perhaps you do too, because your attention has shifted or it has become overly distributed. Attention is how love can be experienced. You know, you've heard of the love languages, whether it's more attention in words, in touch, in acts of service, of all the things. It's all about attention, and attention really is just energy. So if your energy is spread thin everywhere, nobody can feel the full energy of you and your love. So emotional presence and physical presence are not the same thing. That's why you can be there and not even on your phone, but people might not feel you are emotionally present, or you might not feel you're emotionally present because your mind is racing in so many different directions, consciously or unconsciously. Okay. So now let's talk about the next part. Why do partners feel left behind? Even when you don't say a word or you don't think you're doing anything wrong. Most people think relationship strain shows up as a conflict, a fight, loud, visible, but often it doesn't. It shows up as quiet. Some people say that hate isn't the opposite of love, but disinterest is. And when you are quiet, even if you're still interested, the other person can perceive it as if you're not. Because when you're quiet, usually there's less sharing, there's less curiosity about your partner, about the relationship you have together. There's less emotional risk taking, right? Vulnerability is way low. So your partner can come up with all sorts of stories as to why you're quiet. They're mad at me. They don't love me. They're cheating on me. All they care about is work. Or they're stressed. They love me, but they're stressed. And I don't want to say anything because I don't want to add to the pressure. It can be all these things or something different. You just don't know what it is because communication isn't happening. Your partner might see how much you're caring, right? Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be like, you just don't care about me. But let's assume right now they're like, oh my God, they have this business. They're providing jobs. They're providing for the family. They're providing for me. And they don't want to just be another thing on your list to worry about, another burden, because they don't want to be rejected either. So they pull back. And then you, as the entrepreneur, as the busy one who's quiet in the first place, you can misread what they're doing. And it's in this double vicious loop of you both making these assumptions, and humans are terrible at making assumptions, so you're probably not even close to the truth. And people begin to think there's no fighting, so everything must be fine. But that's where the quiet disconnection begins. And what's really happening is emotional self-protection. And over time, right, that distance builds up. And before you know it, you're further and further and further apart. Not because of even anything you did, but perhaps it's what you didn't do. You didn't talk. You didn't share your feelings. You didn't ask about theirs. It can happen through just all these unspoken moments. So then you can feel like, oh my God, how do I do it all? You know, I have this ambition. I want to do really well in my business. I maybe even feel like your business is a purpose or a vocation. And we're not judging that. We're just saying that you don't have to choose. You can have ambition and intimacy. I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about intimacy and sex. Okay, we'll throw that in because that's fun. But both. So you don't have to choose between them. You can have both. And when you feel like you have to choose between them, that belief alone creates this unnecessary guilt, right? Maybe shame, definitely judgment. And those beliefs cause greater separation and greater stress. And even if you're trying for the intimacy, it can be very difficult to do because your system is flush with guilt and judgment. And then it stays in this fight or flight or freeze protection mode. So the real issue is this. Presence doesn't, and I'm not talking about presence with a T, presence, ENCE, doesn't happen accidentally, right? It's not just being in the same room. It's not just being there. So let's give an example. When you say, "How was your day?" Do you say that because you feel like you're checking a box? And then let's be truthful. Are you really listening? Do you have follow-up questions? Do you dive deeper? A lot of times we don't. So instead of saying, "How was your day?" you could say, "What felt heavy for you today?" or "What lit you up?" Do you see how that's different? The other person doesn't come with the automatic response with, "It was fine, it was okay, it was shitty," whatever they say, like you always do when somebody asks you, "How was your day?" You really care and you're curious. What lit you up today? Or what felt heavy today? We want to celebrate both because we can grow from both. So the ambition you have to get really curious, to get all that data in your business, can be applied at home too. So it won't damage the relationship. It actually can deepen it and fuel it. So use those strengths in both places. Don't feel like you have to be ambitious at work, but not ambitious at home. Because ambition is really just passionate curiosity. And don't you want passion and curiosity in your relationship? I think you do. So what can you do? Well, there's all sorts of things, but let's just keep it simple. Let's talk about the conversations that repair intimacy. So it doesn't always have to be grand gestures, a really expensive jewelry, a big trip. It doesn't have to be something huge. It can come just from honesty. Conversations that feel caring. So maybe say, "I've been really busy lately and my mind's been racing and I've just been preoccupied. And I don't want you to feel like I don't care about you or for the business to cost us our closeness. What do you need more of right now? What would you love to hear or receive from me? What would feel loving to you? What am I doing that doesn't feel loving to you? Where do you think I'm pulling away, even if I don't mean to?" I don't want you to think like this is like problem solving. I mean, it is, but that's not my intention. The intention where we put our focus is this is deepening your love and connection. Because what feels loving to you might not feel loving to them, or not as loving as something else that might have even just been easier for you to do. You don't know what you don't know, and the wisest people know that there's more they don't know than they do know. Even if they've been studying in a field for 10 years, even if you've been in a relationship for 10 years, there is so much to learn. And that's not stressful, that's exciting. Because from learning comes growth, and from growth is life. And from greater growth is deeper, stronger, safer, more loving connections. And when you do that, you're saying, "You matter. I see you. I value you. Our relationship matters. And I'm here. I'm invested." These conversations, you might have to slow down a little bit. But I tell you what, by slowing down for these conversations, you move at quantum speed ahead in your relationship. More so than years of therapy or date nights. Just creating safety for vulnerability and for connection. So I know most entrepreneurs aren't saying like, "Oh yeah, when I slow down, I'm more successful. They're like, I got to hustle for the season or hustle for a season and whatever it is y'all say. Or I shouldn't say that. Not everybody says that. But I make jokes because I want you to really hear it. When you slow down long enough to feel and to connect, it'll be more rewarding than any P&L success that you have strived for. Don't believe me. Don't just trust me. Try it. And then let me know if it resonated, if your experiment proved my theory true or untrue for you. I want to hear it. I want to help. So here's one thing though. I don't want you to believe me automatically, but I will give you a practice that has been proven for myself and for so many that I work with at Limitless You. If you're curious, you can go to unlocklimitlessyou.com. But I want to give you something concrete that you can start using today. Not another concept, not another should, right? I don't want to should all over you. I want something you can actually practice and try this week. This is called the Stay With Me check-in. It's used in high-stress executive relationships and personal relationships to prevent emotional drift. It's once a week. It only requires 10 minutes, but there are no phones, no distractions. Each person will sit down and answer these 3 questions. Where did you feel me with you this week? Number 2, where did you feel me drift away? Number 3, what would help you feel more connected this coming week? So each of you sit down, you answer those questions, or maybe as a group, right? If it's a team, you can tweak it to work in whatever setting. Everybody takes a moment and writes theirs down. And then you share. That's it. No explaining, no defending, no fixing, because nobody is right or wrong. This isn't about right or wrong. This is about how you feel. And how you feel is your reality, whether or not anybody shares it with you. So if you care about somebody, you want to know how they feel. You want to know how might you help shape their reality. It's up to them, for sure, because their reality is based upon the meaning they give things. They're helping you understand how they make meaning. And guess what? You're doing the same. And I bet that, again, don't trust me, test it. I bet you learned something about yourself while they're also learning about you. And that's only going to deepen your connection with yourself, which will deepen your connection with everybody else. This works because it restores that emotional safety before the silent distancing begins, before the resentment builds, before the misunderstandings and the assumptions get blown out of proportion, and then you're living in completely different realities, but you don't know it because you're not talking about it. It keeps you connected. And you can use this at home and work. Success is defined however you define it. This will help you build it no matter where you're at. So that's awesome. I think so. What's next? How do you not just address what's happened, but you create what is happening, and you attract what will happen, and you guide your own path to build a relationship that grows with your business? Yeah, you can do that. You can build a relationship at the same time that you're building a business. How many times have you heard or experienced like, well, you're building your business and then all this other stuff outside in your personal life fell apart because you had to build a business? You can actually do both and enjoy it while you're doing it. They can evolve intentionally together. So, regular emotional check-ins, naming what you're feeling, good, and as you might label stress, early and often. Letting your partner and the people around you not just see your mask of confidence and happiness and all the things you think they want to see in you, but let them see the uncertainty. Let them see whatever it is you're feeling. No masks allowed, because that is what's going to strengthen your relationship. Even conflict can bring you closer. Yes, it's true. I know it's true because I do it all the time. Conflict can bring you closer because when you can share it from a loving heart, full of intention, aligned with the other, knowing you're not judging them, you're just sharing, and you're asking for help, you're asking for a connection, and they hear you, and then they respond. It creates safety. Brad and I do this over and over and over again, and each time it gets better and better to the point where, like, I sometimes just cry tears of joy, and I just start giggling because I can't believe how something that once used to scare me and like create huge wedges and break up relationships, now by leaning into it in love and light versus fear and judgment, it strengthens the relationship. It takes it to the next level. It actually makes me feel, just like I say, like we have a limitless relationship. So I want you to think about that. Those masks that you put on so you look strong don't create intimacy. Transparency does. When your partner feels included in your inner world, your success stops feeling like something that takes you away and something that is competing with them. Rather, it starts feeling like something you're building together. You know, sometimes in my past, I have felt unconsciously something will come up and I'll be like thinking I'm in competition with my partner. And then I have to stop and pause. Like, why is that? And quite often it's because your subconscious mind says, if you try, you will fail. If you give transparency, you will be judged. You will be hurt. You can't do it all. Well, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do it all. I want you to do what you want to do, not what you think you should do. And that doesn't mean you're lazy. That doesn't mean you're selfish. That means you're aligned to your soul's desires. And that is when your life will start to flow and success will come to you in a way you didn't even know sometimes that you would define it in that way. It might look differently than you had thought. I invite you to be open. I invite you to be transparent. I invite you to be curious and compassionate, not just to others, but to yourself. And I invite you to begin to explore and believe that you don't have to sacrifice relationships for your business or vice versa. That together, done from love and light and authenticity, you create the most powerful synergy that's actually fun. As we close, I want to leave you with this. You don't need to overhaul your life or sacrifice your ambition to feel deeply connected again. What creates that connection and closeness is not perfection. Man, it took me a long time to learn that. Presence over perfection. Progress will feel wonderful, and you won't feel like you're not enough. You always have been enough. And now you get to realize that, remember that, and tap into it. When you learn how to stay emotionally reachable, especially during growth, your relationship won't compete with your business success. It will create additional power for it, to support it. If something shifted for you today, I want you to really honor it, celebrate it. Just say, man, something sparked in me today, or I started to grow, or I planted a seed in my mind today that feels good. That's it. Take one small step celebrating that. Have one honest 10-minute conversation. Practice presence where it matters most. Because your inner world and your relationships, when they're aligned, your success won't feel heavy or like hustling. It'll start to feel exciting and sustainable. Thank you for being here today and for choosing to build a life that actually feels good to live. And know that you're not alone. If you want more support, if you want some one-on-one extra rocket power fuel, just set up some time and let's chat at unlocklimitlessyou.com/call. I look forward to hearing all the wonderful lessons that you're learning through your experiments in life.